Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday to you. Isn't it beautiful? Oh my goodness, it's pretty. I love it. Maybe some storms coming this weekend. We'll be all right. God will take care of us. I pray, and I'm excited for spring. I just love it all. And I love you guys. I love God's word. I love the fact that it's 10 o'clock and time for 10 with Tim, and we get to talk about Judges chapter 9 today. Judges chapter 9, verses 1 to 21. Did you read ahead? Are you good? You ready for this? Abimelech. All right, first off, I'm just honest with y'all. I can't quite figure out how many sons Gideon had. I know we're supposed to know. I know that it clearly says in verse 30, he had 70 sons born to him, for he had many wives. He also had a concubine in Shechem who gave birth to a son. So I assume that means 71, 71. So he had 70, and then he had another. So is that 71? And then it goes on, though, in chapter 9, and this is where we are today. This is what got me started, because it said that he decided to kill all 70 of his half brothers, which I know I'm ahead of myself, but y'all with me? I'm just trying to count brothers. So he killed all 70 of his half brothers, but the youngest brother escaped. Jotham escaped. So does that mean he killed 69 half brothers and didn't kill 70? Like, did he kill 70 minus one? So Jotham didn't die, so he only killed 69. So did Gideon have 72 sons? So it's like Abimelech and Jotham not counted? Or when they say 70 sons, they just mean once you got above whatever 50 sons, we're just rounding up now. It's about 70. I don't know. It says 70 several times, but then Jotham escapes and it still says 70. So I don't know if that's counting him. And y'all know what I'm saying? So I don't know. If y'all have an answer to that, I would love, put it in the comments. Let us know how many sons Gideon had exactly, because it could be 70, it could be 71, it could be 72. I'm not sure. Anyway, that's a whole lot of sons, and I think that's at least part of the point there. So Abimelech is the illegitimate son, so to speak. He's not a part of the harem, so to speak, of Gideon, who's not a king. Don't think he didn't want. He's not your king. He's not your king. Now he does have a harem like a king, and I know we talked about that yesterday. So one way or the other, Abimelech, whose name means what? My father is the king. Yeah, no, of course he's not, but you know what I mean. So Abimelech is the illegitimate son of of Gideon, which means he is, for his whole life, been an outsider to his own family. He's not a part of the 70 sons of Gideon, so to speak. And so he's always been the outsider, always been, the bastard son, so to speak. And so it's pretty clear that anything he's going to get out of life, he's going to have to get for himself. He's not going to, gain an inheritance from Gideon like his brothers. So none of that. He's an outsider. And so the only place he seems to have any kind of honor or influence is in Shechem, and that's where his mama lived, the concubine of Gideon, just the baby mama, the girlfriend, and so of course he's got uncles there and family. He got family in Shechem, and so that's where he makes his rise. So Abimelech, right at the beginning of chapter 9, decides to visit Shechem because he's got uncles there, his mother's brothers. And then he just sort of brings up, wouldn't it be nice if we had maybe like one king instead of 70 kings? Because all the sons of Gideon, I guess, are they supposed to be ruling? We don't know. So this is where Abimelech makes his plea. Wouldn't it be nice to sort of know who our leader is? And wouldn't it be nice if the leader was somebody that we all knew? Somebody close to us, maybe even one of our own kinfolk. And wouldn't it be nice if I was that king? So this is him talking to his family. Wouldn't it be nice if one of us, and why not me? So anyway, they go for it. I'm your own flesh and blood, he says. And so this all happens in Shechem. Now, this is significant. The place that this happens is significant because Shechem is a very holy place in the promised land. Shechem is the very place where God first appeared to Abram, Shechem. And Shechem is the first place in the promised land where they have an altar built to the Lord. It's the first place of worship after Joshua, leads the children of Israel across into the promised land. So in many ways, Shechem is the spiritual, kind of like the center and the thermometer of the promised land. And so the fact that this is all happening in Shechem is especially shocking, ironic, egregious. And so Abimelech, whose name means, my father is the king, Abimelech gets all of his uncles, who knows how many there were, and all the people of Shechem. They all decide, yeah, we're going to make you the king. They give Abimelech 70 silver coins from the temple of Baal Berit. So anyway, it's a false god, right? Fake god. So Abimelech's whole, campaign here, it is funded by, a pagan god, and ultimately it is founded upon the blood of his half brothers. He takes that money, he hires some reckless troublemakers. They agree to follow him, and so they're hired hitmen, and he hires them to kill all of his 70, all the sons of Gideon, all of his half brothers are killed on the same stone, it says. So the implication there, I think, and again, I don't know, but I think that probably is meant to imply that the 70 half brothers, or 71, the 70 half brothers of Abimelech here are perhaps sacrificed to Baal. Again, the money comes from Baal. They're killed on a stone, the same stone. It sounds like an altar to me. So it's at least possible that these sons of Gideon are sacrificed to Baal. The youngest one escapes. Again, I guess 70 is a whole lot of people to kill on one rock, and one of them got away, and it was Jotham. But Jotham, before he disappears completely into hiding, Jotham stands up on top of Mount Gerizim and shouts out a little sermon. And it's really pretty striking if he's just the youngest, nobody, son of Gideon. He turns out to be pretty well spoken, because he stands up and gives this amazing parable of the trees, and so. Again, it really is sort of one of the rare examples of a parable in the Old Testament, but this is Jotham's parable of the trees. And he just says, once upon a time, the trees all got together to decide they wanted to have a king, so they went first to the olive tree and said, be our king. And the olive tree said, I'm kind of busy here producing olives. I got other stuff to do. I ain't got no time just to go way back and forth above the trees, find somebody else. So the trees all go to the fig tree. Same thing. The fig tree says, well, I've actually got bigger fish to fry. I got figs, to produce. And I think if I quit producing figs just way back and forth over all the trees, I think people would miss me. And so finally they go to the grapevine, to the vine, and the vine says, well, I'm kind of preoccupied with making grapes, which everybody seems to like, not to mention wine. I ain't got time just to way back and forth above the trees. And so finally there ain't nobody left but the thorn bush. Thorn bushes, of course, are exactly what you picture. They are little things, scrubby kind of things. They're about 1 foot, 2 feet off the ground at the most. They don't really have a lot of leaves because they got thorns. So it's just a scraggly, kind of a leafless, little, shrub. And they go to the thorn bush and say, hey, would you be our king? And he says, as a matter of fact, I think I ain't got nothing else to do. I will be delighted to be your king. And one condition, everybody's going to have to come and take shelter in my shade. Yeah, it's kind of a joke. Also kind of terrible, because a thorn bush, the other trees can't get under. The thorn bush is 1 foot off the ground. Nobody getting under it for shade, and that's kind of the tragic irony of the parable, because the olive tree, the fig tree, the grapevine, these actually have value. The thorn bush has no value. Thorn bushes are known in the desert, climate to, burst into flame, burn up and die on their own. And that's kind of where Jotham's parable ends there, Tell you what, you want a thorn bush for a king, you about to get a thorn bush for a king, worthless value. This dude's he's too lazy to scratch. Again, Abimelech He's not lazy, so to speak, but like I say, he really has nothing to offer other than his own ambition. Now, in the book of Judges, all of the other leaders, they are called and elevated by God himself. But notice how Abimelech, yeah, he's pretty much self-promoting here. This is not God's will. This is not God's doing. And Jotham tries to be the voice of wisdom here. You're treating Gideon and his family with, with this dishonorable, utter disdain. And again, we talked about that yesterday. Gideon had no integrity, which means he commanded no real honor or respect. But at any rate, here Jotham does speak truth. At least Gideon fought for you. Gideon offered you something, and you're casting his legacy aside for this, rat that just crawled out from under a rock, and you're going to make him your king. Says, all right, tell you what, if what you're doing is honoring, if it's honoring to getting my father, if you're acting in good faith, and tell you one thing, if you find joy in Abimelech and he finds joy in you, then okay, be happy forever. But if you're not acting in good faith, if there is no joy in Abimelech, then you're going to get exactly what you asked for. I hope this thorn bush of a king bursts into flame, burns you and burns him up at the same time. So there's this sort of a quasi blessing. If you really think this is a good idea, if you're acting in good faith, then have at it. I hope you and Abimelech are happy forever together. But and again, he knows that none of that is true, and so ultimately the curse is spoken. If what you're doing is in bad faith, if what you're doing is against God and everything that makes good sense, then I hope Abimelech gives you exactly what you're asking for and a whole lot of it. You're going to burst into flame. So then Jotham escapes, goes to Beer because he has to be afraid of his brother Abimelech. All right, we're going to have to stop there, y'all. We'll pick up right here in verse 22, but I hate to tell you this, although we'll all be okay. I'm going to take next week off. I have a pastor's conference out of state, out of town. I was kind of hoping that I would just pre-record next week, but I just did not have that chance this week, y'all. I haven't had that kind of time, and so I'm just going to have to put it off. So I apologize to you. I'm leaving you hanging. We got, Jotham hiding, and Abimelech's about to be a giant bum. But we'll pick up here on Monday, March 24th, all right? So pick up right here with me. Monday, March 24th, we'll pick up in chapter 9, verse 22. I will review and take us forward. We'll go all the way into chapter 10, verse 18, all right? So chapter 9, verse 22, all the way through the short chapter 10, all right? So anyway, pray for me next week, you guys. I rarely leave town. I rarely leave the pulpit. I don't love it. Honestly, it creates so much extra work to leave. But a conference is an opportunity for me to hear a lot of good preaching, get some extra training and ideas, and I need that. So pray for me. I'm excited about it. If I just can ever get everything done to leave town. But anyway, I will see you again Monday, March 24th. We'll pick up in Judges chapter 9, verse 22. Listen, have a good Friday. Have a good weekend. Have a good next week. And I will see you on the 24th. All right. Love you guys so much.